Have y'all heard about this story? So, Bubba Copeland, aka Brittany Blair Summerlin out of Alabama, who is a conservative preacher, mayor, father, husband. It's a lot, right? Was recently outed by a news media outlet, a conservative right-wing news media outlet, 1819 News. Now, I'm not sure the historical significance of 1819, but I'm sure it probably has some sort of historical significance. But anyway, so they found out, right? And they said, oh, if we know, then they need to know. And so they go to press. They put Bubba's business in the streets, right? Now, Bubba goes to 1819 News before they go to press with this and says, look, please, don't do this to me. And they said, girl, good luck, okay? You figure it out, honey. You knew who you were, and you shouldn't have been in these positions. And since you chose to put yourself in these positions, girl, we choose to let the people know who you really are. So they go to press with it. Now, as a trans woman, one of the first things I wanted to know when I heard this story, because I'm going to be honest with y'all, I have empathy for who has empathy for me. That's just the way it works in my universe. You give, you get. You don't give, you don't get. It's really that simple for me. And so knowing that this is a white male, a conservative, a preacher, in the South, in the Bible Belt, my immediate thought is I need to see this legislative record, right? What is that about, right? Because if you are, non-binary, cross-dressing, transvestite, I don't know what the correct terminology is in this day and age, but if you are essentially a man who dresses in women's clothing in private, but you go down there to City Hall and create all of these laws that help to oppress the LGBTQIAP plus community, oh, then I'm team 1819. Let's put that in the streets, right? So I got out my golden shovel. I started digging because I needed to know exactly where he stood on LGBTQIAP plus issues. Now, I was not able to find anything, but that does not mean it doesn't exist. It just doesn't, it means I wasn't able to find it yet. So the jury is still out. So anyhow, 1819 goes to press. They put the business in the streets. And initially, it seems like Bubba was just like, you know what, it is what it is. The news is out there. I don't have to live in the shadows anymore. And it seems like Bubba was going to be okay. But at a certain point, Bubba, a.k.a. Summerlin, was being tailed by the police, got out of their car, and unalived themselves in front of police officers just because the heat was too much. Now, a lot of people are blaming 1819, essentially saying, that you guys, this is online bullying. You bullied Summer or Brittany Blair, a.k.a. Bubba Copeland, into unaliving themselves. And so this blood is on your hands. And I'm of two minds, right? Because there's so many different layers to this. Because we talk about this all the time, about how people just can't seem to mind their own business. Because, let me say this before I go any further. Please, conservatives, do me a favor and just mind your own soul, right? You know how people tell you to mind your business? Mind your soul, okay? My soul belongs to me. My salvation belongs to me. This ain't got nothing to do with you. I don't need you to police how I identify. I don't need you to police who I sleep with. I don't need you to police what I wear. All of those consequences, I will bear the brunt of those, okay? So when that day comes, I will be solely responsible for this. Don't worry yourself, because it has to be exhausting, right? To be that invested in something that doesn't have a goddamn thing to do with you. You're worried about all the wrong things. And this is why we see what's happening over here in Israel. This is why we see what's happening in Palestine. This is why we see mosques being targeted. This is why we see synagogues being targeted, because everyone is so dogmatic, and everyone is so pious, and everyone is sure that their God is the God. Everyone is sure that their people is a chosen people. And the reality is none of you know. Okay? You don't know, you think, you believe, and you are free to believe what you want to believe. I don't give a damn about what you believe. I don't care, because just like I told you to mind your soul, I'm over here minding mine. What you believe is what you believe. And if people just learn to mind their own business and mind their own souls, the world would be a completely different place. But I digress. Let's talk back about Bubba, right? So 1819 puts this news in the streets. Bubba unalives themselves, and now people are pointing fingers at 1819 News. But we have all of these people who live in a world where they're afraid of judgment, they're afraid of social persecution, they're afraid of living authentically, and so they live the lives that people want to see them live, right? They live the lives that are designed by exterior entities outside of themselves. They make choices based on what people or society wants them to be, and they don't have the emotional, the mental fortitude to say, you know what, I'm me, and I'm just going to be happy being me. And so they go get married, they have kids, they go to seminary school. They hop in the pulpit. And these are your preachers. These are your Sunday school teachers. These are people who are struggling with gender identity and sexual orientation. And it doesn't mean that these aren't good people, that these aren't God-fearing people. It means that they are human beings who have struggles. But compassion is not there for people who have, who are gender non-conforming, people who are trans. It's so interesting to me that every time we talk about sin, that people only seem to focus in on this one particular sin, right? This is it. This is the coup de grace, okay? This is it. This is the pinnacle of sin, of sinatry, right? We're gonna make that word up. This is the pinnacle of sinatry, girl. If you are a born male and you lay with another male, girl, the jig is up. If you lay with a male and you were born male and you decide to transition, oh baby, we're just sitting here waiting for the horns to sprout because this is clearly the spawn of Satan. It doesn't matter if Bubba was out here doing community service, if Bubba was fundraising, if Bubba was, clearly a pastor in his church and helping out his community. All of those things are negated by the fact that Bubba put on a wig, called himself thick. All the good that Bubba did doesn't matter anymore. And when I say good for the Christian community, because clearly Bubba, I shouldn't say clearly, but it doesn't appear that Bubba was really making strides to improve the lives of the LGBTQIAP plus members of his constituency. But that's neither here nor there. So, I don't know. Again, I need more information to see exactly where I stand on this. How deep does my empathy go? Because I have empathy and compassion for those who have empathy and compassion for me. I'm sorry, it's tit for tat over here, baby. You give what you get, and you don't get what you don't give. Okay? It's really that simple for me. So, at the end of the day, I don't want to see anyone alive themselves. So, shout out to Bubba and his family. My prayers, my condolences, my best wishes. I wish that the world that we lived in was different. I wish the world we lived in was more inclusive. I wish that the world that we lived in was more understanding. I wish that people understood that at the end of the day, at the beginning of the day, in the middle of the goddamn day, none of us know. You don't know where you're going. I don't know where I'm going. And stop trying to tell me about some that you don't know anything about, because none of us know how this story ends. All you know is what you believe, okay? I'll see you guys in the next video.